Never had anything happen. But as they say, there's a first time for everything, right?
Exactly.
I just hope it's not. But let's go ahead and get started warming up, open and closing our hands. We're on week 8, so we have got we're in the middle point of this class.
It's 16 classes.
It's 16 classes.
And how many do we have to do to get the t-shirt?
You come to 10 classes.
Okay, 10.
So,
okay.
10 of the 16 classes, and then you get to choose between teal, gray, and a pretty coral. These colors are much prettier than what they look like.
I want the coral.
But, yeah, we have those, and I'm looking to get my repeat people who have earned all 3 colors, because I have people who have done that.
You're encouraging us to repeat.
Once you earn the 3 colors, then the next completer, you'll get a sweatshirt. So it might not seem like a great idea today when it's pushing 80 degrees and it's sunny, but this past winter when it was cold, that's when I got the idea. That's whenever I said, I really need to look into getting these people sweatshirts, because these t-shirts.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But it'll be a special prize. But I always appreciate the dedication that of y'all that just keep signing up and coming, and it does my heart good to know that I'm helping y'all learn Tai Chi, but hopefully improving your life in some kind of way.
How many have you given the the sweatshirt to?
Right, I haven't ordered any yet, because I just had the idea. But I will. There will probably be, oh good gracious, probably 15 people that have earned all 3 shirts.
Okay.
So I have been teaching at Anytime Fitness for going on 3 years. That's an in-person class. And then I teach an in-person class in Claxton, and those are the people that have just continually come. So they have, just like with SOWEGA, there's a fall class and a spring class. At least that's what I call them. One starts in August and lasts till December-ish, and the other one starts in January and lasts till April-ish. Depending on how many times I have to cancel because other, things come up. I already know that April the 2nd, I will cancel class. And I'll tell you why. My daughter is going to get her driver's license that day.
How old is she?
She's 15 now. She's been having her permit since her birthday last year. And March 31st is her 16th birthday, which is Easter this year. Yeah. And so DMV or whatever they're called, they're not open on Mondays. And so Tuesday was the soonest we could get her an appointment. And if you know a 16-year-old child, they want to go get that driver's license just as soon as they can. So I said, I will take that day off. We'll go get you your driver's license, and then we will go to Swainsboro at East Georgia. My son will be playing baseball there that day, a double header. So I think their first game starts at 1. So that took care of my morning class and my afternoon class. That kind of stuff. I try not to cancel.
At least you have it on the same day.
Yes, that worked out. That's really what made me decide, yes, I'm just going to do it, because my son goes to college 3 hours away. So it's not easy for me to go to his baseball games. But East Georgia is a little over an hour away. So for him to be that close to me, that's a no-brainer to be able to go. That's the closest he will ever be to me playing baseball. So anywho, we went to Cuthbert this past weekend and watched him play, and it was beautiful weather. It was so good to see him. I missed him so much. When I walked up and I saw him, I just kind of started crying, tearing up a little bit because I just miss that kid. We got Sharon. This is my first experience of letting a child go. So anyway,
What year is he?
he's a freshman.
Freshman.
Yes. So I have a freshman in high school and a freshman in college. So they're 15 and 19 years old, and they're really
All
good.
right. Time to have another one.
Oh. I figured out what caused that a while ago. All right. I think we're nice and warm. That was a lot of information I threw out at y'all, but you know, having a class that's virtual, you know, you want to still connect with your people. You don't want to just be a person on the TV and, you know, you don't actually talk and get to know each other. So, you know, I think it's important to share things. Please know that I don't know everything there is to know. You may have learned something in a different class. You may have learned something about Tai Chi from a different instructor. And, you know, I open up the floor for you to share things. We're all here to learn from each other. So, yes, I'm the instructor, and I've been doing Tai Chi a long time. I guess I'm somewhat of an expert in this class anyway. But I know that I don't know everything. So I'll tell you what. Oh, okay. I saw a pop-up, but I thought I was having somebody else. We have a good class today. Great attendance. Glad to have you back, Miss Sharon. Let's start with our warm-ups with a nice, stable stance, a good posture, relaxed shoulders, the soft bend in our knee. Our feet are about shoulder width apart as we get started with our neck. Here we go. Bring those hands up towards our chin and chest. Push away from our bodies and follow those hands all the way down, chin to chest. Just make sure you're breathing at your own pace. We don't want you to be holding your breath. And I know when I get busy, that's whenever I tend to hold my breath. Our other neck stretch starts out that same way. We bring one to our hip and follow this hand as we look towards the shoulder. Back to the front and switch. Going side to side. You don't have to go as far as you can turn your head just until you feel that slight stretch. Working on the mobility of that neck joint. It's one of the main things that helps me be a better driver so that I can look from side to side and make sure I can see the traffic. We can't always rely on our mirrors, even in the fanciest cars that buzz and blink lights and to let us know where cars are. It's best if we can rely on our eyes, and having a mobile neck, a flexible neck, can help us see that. So I get kind of stuck on this one, probably more than just 3 per side, because it just feels good to stretch my neck. Going to our shoulders, let's roll our shoulders forward, thinking small circles, size of a quarter, if you will. And then roll back. And that feels like a massage you give yourself. Moving forward first. And rolling back helps reset your posture. If you're ever kind of slumped, roll those shoulders back and it resets your posture. Other one for our shoulder, we bring our hands up and push down. Inhale as you come up, exhale as you push down. Thinking about gentle resistance as if we're moving through water. Or I like to be funny and think of moving through jello. And for some reason, I always think of it as green jello.
That's a sign to go.
Go. But I don't know that I like green jello. I think I like red jello. But I always think green jello when I move through it. I guess if I'm moving through it, I'm not going to eat it. So I just picked a color that I don't eat. Maybe that's where why I went green. Y'all just love to hear what comes up through my brain. For our spine, we start with our ball. We separate and push one hand up and the other down, keeping a soft bend in your elbow. It's a little hard to see today with my shirt. It has baggy sleeves, but I assure you I'm not completely straightening my arms, keeping that soft bend and focusing that stretch on my spine. Inhaling as I come to my ball and exhaling as I separate. Now let's take our ball side to side. Short trip. Movement, much like our waving hands and clouds movement. It's just a torso movement. The ball or our hands go along for the ride. Just double check and make sure you haven't left any tension in your shoulder. Anytime you pick your hands up or use your hands and arms, that's a time whenever you may put tension in your shoulders. So just double check and make sure you hadn't, lifted your shoulders a little bit and added tension.
Is your head straight or the turning with it?
My head is kind of turning with it. So I'm not turning my neck per se like we did a while ago when we were doing our warm-up. But just because my head is attached to my body, when I turn my body, my head goes with it. You see what I'm saying? So my head's going side to side, but I'm not turning my head side to side.
Okay.
So I'm not stretching my neck. It's just my head's going along with the body. So that's probably what you're seeing with my head moving is because it's attached. All right. Now for our hips. So this is where it gets complicated. If you have any problems with falls or fear of falling, any kind of weakness in your legs, it's a good time to have a sturdy table nearby or a chair. I've held my hand up and caught myself on the wall before, but just to have something just in case you do lose your balance is nice. It's a nice safety net, even if you don't use it. So we're going to be shifting our weight to one leg and moving the other leg. So shift weight on one leg, it doesn't matter which, because we'll go to the other one next. Place our heel forward and our hands back. Pause in the middle and toe back, hands forward. Keeping a soft bend in that leg, I call it our stable leg, the one that's holding our weight. Make sure that you're not leaning into this movement. You remain upright. And then check your breathing to make sure you're breathing, because that's a difficult movement. So sometimes we hold our breath when things get difficult. Shift our weight to our other leg, heel forward, hands back, pause in the middle, and toe back, hands forward. And I put my toe kind of out to the side when I put it back and I always think of it as a kickstand. And that's much more stable than if I were to put my legs straight back. I mean, you can give it a try, and I felt myself being very wobbly, but when I put that out there like that, then it's like a kickstand. A bike isn't going to fall. Well, it's less likely to fall when the kickstand is up. So right there, you see we had our hands forward while our leg was back. And we're going to do that type of movement with our knee in just a second. But that is a crossbody. It's a counterbalance, and that helps keep us from falling. But it also does other things too that we'll talk about. Let's do our other hip movement where we shift weight to one side as our hands go in the direction of the weight shift, staying within our frame, and then tapping out. Bring that foot back. If you ever need to hold on to your chair, it's fine to skip these hand movements. The most important thing happening here is what's going on with our legs and those weight shift. The hands make it tai chi. It gives it that feeling of that slow, smooth, continuous, the gentle resistance. But if we need to hold onto a chair for safety or to address our fear of falling, I want you to do that. I want you to listen to your body always. Safety is always first. And if we need to grow to doing it just like that, that's fine. Next is for our knees. So we have loose fist. We're going to shift weight to one leg. Place that toe forward and punch. Bring it back. Shift, lift, tap and punch. So see that counterbalance there with the left foot out and the right hand out. So opposite sides of the body. I know we've talked about this before where that's challenging. And if that's especially challenging for you, place your foot, then place your hand. And work towards doing it at the same time. One reason why it's so challenging is it challenges our brain in a way that's a little bit different than if we were to do the same side. The cross lateral movement challenges our brain. So that's one of the benefits of Tai Chi that I have never talked about before and hadn't considered how many cross lateral movements we do. So that's a new exploration for me. Our other knee exercise, we step out, keep our feet flat on the floor as we shift weight forward, punch opposite hand, bring it back, feet side by side, shift, step, shift and punch, bring it back, side by side. Really like this movement for the weight shift side to side and the weight shift front and back. It gives us a lot of experience with weight shift, which is so important in developing the muscles in our legs so that we're less likely to fall. Our warm-ups prepare us for our Tai Chi movement. So we see many of these movements throughout our Tai Chi. Next is for our ankles. So here's another weight shift while we heel toe with that foot, rocking that foot, and then switching to the other side, heel toe.
You want to join, James?
And then big toe, little toe. So side to side. So everybody's ankle is a little more or less flexible. So it may look a little different than this, and that's okay. but we are working on maybe some of that stiffness you have in your ankle. And this is something that you can do when you're seated. Sometimes we get stuck in a chair. We can tap our foot, heel, toe, and side to side, and just generally move our feet. Helps with circulation and just the mobility with that ankle. All right, so those are our warm-ups. We do 2 for all of our major joints every time with class, and that prepares us for our movements. So let's review our basic 6 movements. So we have commencement. Now from, as I turn around, so you can follow me the easiest, but don't worry, I'm gonna turn around and make sure you know what it looks like from the front. So commencement is a step forward. It's a shift to the right leg, step out with the left, and when we step left, it's an empty step, so we don't immediately give weight to it. Then we shift weight to the left foot, bring the right foot forward, and then adjust the weight so there's weight on both feet. So that seems easy enough. It's just a step forward. It's something we're familiar with. It's shift right, step left, empty, then give it weight, right foot forward, and then adjust weight to where there's weight on both legs. So that's the footwork of commencement. The handwork of commencement, our hands face each other the whole time. So they start at our sides, they come up facing each other. Remember, anytime we extend our arms, they're never straight out. We're never Frankenstein. Even being out, there's a soft bend here. So we come up, we come down, in and up, just like we were drawing a U. We go out, and then we come back in. So there's some opportunity there to move our wrists. So when we come up, our fingers are more pointed down. When we come down, our fingers are more pointed up. Our fingers are facing out. And when we come back in, we bring our fingers pointing straight up because our second movement is open and close, where we inhale and exhale as our hands open and close. So that's what that looks like from the front with commencement. Up, down, in, up, out, and back in. And then open, close. So those are our first 2 movements. All right, so I'm going to turn around.
Yeah, how to blur it.
We're going to do commencement. I'm going to talk you through it. So we start out, our feet are about hip width apart. Our weight is on both legs. We bring our hand up. And when we bring those hands down is when we shift weight to that right leg. There we go. Now we step left and step empty. So all our weight is on the right leg. We bring our hands in and up. Now we're going to shift left while our hands go out. Right foot forward. Bring those hands back and open and close. So mirror image, this is what it looks like. So for commencement, we bring our hands up, down, shift right. Step left, hands come in and up. Shift left as they go out. Right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. So again, mirror image, then I'll turn around. Commence, up, down, shift right. Step left, hands come in and up. Shift left as they go out. Right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. All right, we good with those? Next we have,
I got to focus.
ma'am.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Next we have single whip. Now remember, our next movements, first we'll go to the right, single whip, waving hands in clouds. We'll come back to center for open and close. Then we'll single whip and wave hands and clouds to the left. So this is one of those moments in this program where it's called balanced because we do it to one side, then we do it to the other. Commencement is the only movement that we don't do to both sides. So we've done commencement, open, and close. Now we're ready for our first brush knee to the right. So our hands are here, just like for open and close. We shift our weight left, we step out right, then we adjust the weight. So now I have weight on both legs. I'm in a staggered stance. I'm going to push my hands out, turn them away from me, and separate them as my eyes follow my left hand. So that's the whip part of single whip. So from the front, it looks like this. When I shift and step, I step at an angle, about a 45-degree angle. So it's a shift left, step right. So you see it's a slight angle. And I'm looking at it now and it's really not 45 degrees because 45 degrees, that's a little bit much. So I'm going to say maybe, it doesn't matter, 30, 20, something less than 45. But whenever I step at an angle, whatever the exact angle is, and it'll depend on your comfort zone, but that naturally turns my torso in that angle that my foot stepped. Now, if I were doing this seated, I'm not going to step out because I'm not going to fall out of my chair. So if I'm doing it seated, my body's going to stay facing forward. The rule in single whip is the foot that steps out, when we go to do the whip part, our eyes follow the hand opposite of the foot that stepped out. So our first single whip, our right foot steps out and our head and our eyes follow our left hand. So there's another one of those cross lateral movements here. Now just because your eyes are on your left hand, don't forget about your right hand. So don't leave it up here while you only move the one you're looking at. I've been guilty of that. And it happens and you don't realize it because it's out of sight, out of mind. Your eyes are following this hand. It's easy to really not know what this one's doing. So I want you to practice doing that whip and moving both hands. I want you to practice doing it wrong so that you feel the difference. So when I only move my left hand, I feel a slight stretch in my neck. But when I move both hands, I feel that stretch across my shoulders and my back. So we don't want to cheat ourselves out of doing the movement fully, because we want all the benefits from it. We want to do them right. So the first single whip, and it's to the right, we shift left, step right, adjust weight. So now I'm at a staggered stance. Then my hands go out, turn away from me, and then they separate as my eyes follow my left hand. So that's what that single whip looks like from the front. Turned around, we're going to the right, shift left, step right, adjust weight. Push, turn, separate, eyes following my left hand. That's single whip. You good with this one? So we're going to do it both ways. That's just the first one that we do. Now, to transition from single whip to waving hands and clouds, we're going to keep this left hand in the air and we're going to shift left and bring that right foot, right hand down. Okay? You got that? So that's that transition movement. So let's go to the top with commencement. And commence. Hands come up, down, shift right. Step left, hands come in and up. Shift left as they go out. Right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Single whip. Shift left, step right, adjust weight. Push, turn, separate, eyes follow that left hand. Shift left, bring that right foot, right hand back. And that gets us ready for waving hands and clouds. All right, let's do that again. Let's do it a few times. Make sure we're comfortable before we go on. And commence. Up, down, step, in and up. Shift as they go out, right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Single whip, shift, step, adjust, push, turn, separate, eyes following that left hand. Shift left, right foot, right hand, back. And that gets us ready for waving hands and claps. Are we good up to here? I just know that we've had some that have been missing, and I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page and it doesn't hurt anybody to review. Because I don't want to go into our advanced movements real heavily and make somebody feel bad. Because I've been there when the teacher goes way faster than what I'm ready for, and I just want to cry and quit. So I don't want to be that kind of teacher. Okay, so here we go with one more time, and then we'll go to our waving hands and clouds. And commence. Hands up, down, shift right. Step left, hands come in and up. Shift left as they go out. Right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Single whip, shift left, step right, adjust weight, push, turn, separate, eyes following our left hand. Shift left, bring the right foot, right hand back. And we're ready for waving hands and clouds. That's what this poster right here is addressing. Step, switch, turn, and shift. And we do 6. 1 to the right, 1 to the left, 1 to the right, 1 to the left, 1 to the right. We do 6 of them. 3 to the right and 3 to the left. You can pair up these movements by doing step and switch at the same time. You can do turn and shift at the same time. Or you can do step, then switch, then turn, then shift. So you find the way that feels most comfortable for you as we explore this movement. What I do is step and switch together, then I turn, then I switch. So I put 2 together and then I switch these, or I split these 2 up. Why? Because I used to not. I'll tell you why. Because you can engage your core muscles. So by tightening your core muscles, your stomach muscles, as you turn, so here is that spinal movement that we did at the beginning, where we turn. So right now, I have all the muscles in my stomach tightened up as I push my body side to side, thinking about those muscles there having that power to push them. Okay, so when I'm focused on engaging my core muscles, I can't shift weight at the same time. That's too many things going on for me. And I can't do it fully. I can't engage core muscle fully while I'm shifting. So I do that part, then shift my weight. So all of them are right. All those ways I just mentioned are right. You just find what works best for you. So let's go through it one at the time. We're coming from that single whip where we brought our right foot, right hand back. So here we go, one at a time. We step, we switch our hands, and we turn, shift, step, switch, 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 turn, and now we come to the middle for open and close. Now notice that last time I didn't shift because I didn't need to. We were getting ready, we weren't going anywhere. We didn't need to step again. I needed weight on both of my feet as I did open and close. So those are the movements broken down. So when we're talking about what it looks like from the front, so we're at single whip. Here is the waving hands and clouds where we step and then switch. So that's what that looked like. I had one hand down by my hip and the other hand up. And now I bring this hand up cross body and this hand to my hip. So when I step, turn, shift, step, switch. So you see that hand went down to my hip. This one went cross body, turn, shift, step, switch, turn, shift, step, switch, turn, shift, step, switch, turn, shift, step, switch, turn, and then back to the middle for open and close. Okay, so that's what it looks like from the front. Coming from the end of single whip, we brought that right foot, right hand back. Here we go. Step, switch, turn, shift, 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 step, switch, turn, and to the center for open close. All right, let's add it to the top, starting with commencement. And commence. Hands up, down, shift right. Step left, hands come in and up. Shift left as they go out. Right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Single whip, shift left, step right, adjust weight. Push, turn, separate, following that left hand. Shift left, bring that right foot, right hand back, waving hands and clouds. Step, switch, turn. Shift, 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 step, switch, turn, and go for open and close. So that waving hands and clouds, I mean, we just chopped it up as much as we can chop it up. Our goal is to practice that to the point where it's a lot more smooth. So let's practice just this movement, putting our step and switch together. So we're coming from the single whip here. Here we go. Step and switch, turn, shift, 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 step and switch, turn, and the middle for open and close. All right, let's do it without me talking. Let's just practice it that way. Coming from single whip, waving hands and clouds. And close. So that was a little more smooth than what we did before. And we want to keep practicing so that it can be more and more smooth. I mean, that just happens with practice. Sorry, my text come through on my phone or on my Fitbit and it says, "Thank you for your order. We are processing it and we'll get it sent your way shortly." And I'm like, huh?
What order?
Place an order? The scammers are real, y'all. The scammers are real. It's all right. Here we go. From the top. And then we're going to push ourselves to the left through single whip and waving hands and clouds. And commence. Open and close. Single whip. Waving hands and clouds. Open and close. All right, let's do it to the left. Shift right, step left, push, turn, separate. This time following our right hand. Shift right, bring that left foot, left hand back. Waving hands and clouds. Step, switch, turn, shift, 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 step, switch, turn, and to the middle for open and close. So hopefully that wasn't too weird to push ourselves going to the left after we have been going to the right several times in a row. But let's go through it again and commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands and clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open and close. Close it out. Basic 6. All right, let's do it again. And commence. Open and close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Close. Close it out.
Go. Go.
Any questions?
Go.
Okay, so we've really gone through this today with our basic 6. Next week, we're going to do the same thing with our advanced 6, which it just takes longer to get through our advanced 6. I just want to remind you that as you practice basic 6, just to think through some things, and that is as you're moving, think slow, smooth, continuous. It's so easy for us to get in a hurry, especially if we're not real familiar with the movements and we're trying to hurry up and get to the next thing while we're still remembering what's next. And so if you have to write down on a piece of paper and tape it on the wall in front of you what's next, that's what I had to do when I first started. And that was very helpful for me. But also with the principles, thinking about that movement control. To me, gentle resistance comes later as a focus. I don't know if everybody would agree with that, but learning the movement is first. Doing the movements at a slow pace is important. When we think about our body structure, we really want to think, are we standing straight up? Are we holding any kind of tension in our shoulders? We just want to maintain that upright posture. When we do that in Tai Chi class and when we practice the movements, then when we're out in the world doing other things and moving our bodies in other ways, we stop and realize anytime that we're not holding an upright posture. So we want to always be conscious of an upright posture, no matter what we're doing, not just Tai Chi. Anytime we're leaning forward, we're going towards falling because of gravity. So we always want to maintain shoulders back and that just like a string that pulls up and down, that nice upright posture. Also, with our movements, as you practice, you want to think about weight transfer. And when you step, you don't immediately give it weight. That's called an empty step. but then you do give it weight. Empty step every time, then give it weight. And so that's the nature of weight transfer in Tai Chi. So when you practice the movements and think slow, smooth, continuous the whole time. Practice the movement, make sure you're keeping an upright posture. Then practice the movement and really focus on weight transfer as when you step that foot, making sure it's empty, at least for a moment before you transfer weight to it. So those are some of the things that I want you to think about and focus on, just one at a time. You can't focus on all those things at the same time. So practice it with one thing in mind, practice it several times, and switch your focus, and then you'll start getting the most out of the movements, and you'll start then doing all of those at one time because you practiced each of them separately. So whatever you want to focus on, just know.
Can you hear me? Can you just review the 6 basic? Just tell us what they are. What's number 1?
One is commencement.
2.
Okay, we have commencement. Then we have open and close.
Okay.
Then we have single whip.
3, single whip. Okay.
Then we have waving hands and clouds.
Waving hands and cloud. That's 4.
Okay, so we do that. We do that many blah, blah, blahs. We have an open and close in the middle.
So there's the open and close is 2.
And then we have single whip. And then we have waving hands and clouds. So
you repeat some of the basic 6.
You see me kind of smiling whenever you said to tell you the 6, because it says on the basic 6, 1 is commence.
Okay.
Okay, then it says 2 is open close.
Okay.
3 is single whip.
Mm-hmm.
4 is waving hands and clouds.
Okay.
Okay, but you know that in the middle we have an open and close, and then we single whip and wave hands clouds again, right?
Yeah.
Then we open and close, and then we do what's called close it out. So on our poster that Dr. Lamb created, what it calls 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it is 1 is commencement, 2 is open close, 3 single whip, 4 waving hands, 5 open and close, and 6 closing. See, this has never really made sense to me. So whenever you say basic 6, that isn't what we do, because we do commencement, open and close, single whip, waving hands, open and close, single whip, waving hands, open and close it out.
We actually do open and close like 3 times, right?
We do. And down here in this box, it says basic 6, before the last movement closing form, add single whip and waving hands times 3, the opposite side, and then complete the basic 6 with closing form. Like, I think this made it just about as complicated as it could. So if you stop and you try to make 6 out of it, it's hard to make 6 out of it. That's how they made 6 out of it, but that's not what we do. So if it were me and I were writing it down, I would write commencement, open and close. Then I would write single whip, and out beside single whip, I would put right. Then I would put waving hands, right. Then I would put open and close. Then I would put single whip, left, and waving hands, left, open and close. And I wouldn't even write close it out, but they include it here. Now, to me, close it out is saying I'm done for now. Because I could do commencement. Okay, commencement. Okay, that's all I'm gonna do, so I close it out. And that's just kind of a respect to the movement. You close it out, and that's saying I'm done. So you may be done before the end, especially in practice. So closing it out, I think, like, okay, in Tai Chi, we work with energy. So we have the energy flowing, within our hands as we move or throughout our body, but our hands are helping promote the energy flow. And so when we get to our end, I think of it, close it out as, here is the energy that I've been working with, and I'm putting that energy back into the world and closing it out.
I think of closing out like this. Yeah, namaste.
Close it out like I'm done. But that's how Dr. Lamb lists basic 6. And that's why I laughed whenever you asked, because I've never understood how it's 6. So
I was trying to understand it myself.
It is it's confusing. It's confusing calling the advanced movements advanced 6 because it's
I'm gonna try to see if I can get 6 out of that.
All right, well, let's give ourselves a nice fist massage. However many it is, those are the movements, and however it can be helpful for you to remember those. I always wrote them down and had them on a piece of paper and let the paper be my brain. So I didn't have to think, what's after this and which way do I go? I just wrote it down on a paper. I wrote left and right on the paper. I wrote information, started out with a lot and gradually went to less. And that's how I learned the best. Let's gather tension and let it go. But I like these posters for the sake of guidance. I like a visual. Shoulder stretch. Inhale up, exhale down. And you notice too, I'll close it out, but I don't always say closing or close it out. So there's so many ways to do this right, y'all. And when you learn, you're just kind of stressed about wanting to do it right. And so knowing that there are lots of ways to do it right can be stressful. Oh, so we have our strength, our right fist, our left fingers together representing our friendship, and our thumb end representing our humility. Of strength, friendship, and humility. And we put those together, and in mutual respect, we say namaste.
Namaste.
So thank y'all so much. What great class today. We're going to keep working forward. Let me know if you have any questions between now and next Tuesday. And know that the class is recorded. You can always go back and practice with the class on YouTube. And but if you have questions, just let me know.
Thank you.
Okay, love y'all.
Love you.
Bye.
Have a